Hello, everybody. It is another episode of the Adam Anime World podcast, and David has joined me once again. David Turner is here, everybody. Say hello.
Hello. Yes, I'm here for another discussion. Looking forward to this one.
Yes, this is an interesting one because the latest Evangelion film came out on Monday, and this is why I kind of had the idea to do this discussion in particular, because it's an anime film in the cinema. Okay, yes, we haven't got it over here, but I thought it would be cool to do a discussion about all the anime films that we have seen in the cinema. We've seen quite a few, and I thought it would be cool to not sort of review those films, because it's been quite a while since we've seen the films, and they're not exact. Some of them are like 25 years old, longer, even older, some of them. Indeed. So there's no point reviewing them. But no. It's more about sort of just our experience. It's more about just sort of our experience seeing the films and what it was like. Yes. But first of all, like I mentioned at the start, there's a new Ava film out, and me and David have been keeping an eye on the review scores for this film, and I'm sure I know you agree, because we've talked about this already off air. The review scores are quite interesting, aren't they?
Well, yes. Not you would have thought that they would have been relatively similar across the board, but they're the two sources that we're using here don't particularly reflect each other exactly the way that we thought.
No, we've got My Anime List, and we've also got IMDb.
Yeah.
And as we stated there's quite a difference between the two scores on the two websites. So I'm looking at My Anime List here. This is the one I've got up first. And the score on My Anime List is 7.48, which is a decent score. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's a pretty, decent score. But on IMDb, which I'm looking at now, it's got a score of 8.5, which is a lot higher than it is on My Anime List.
Yeah, and for an IMDb score, that is pretty high.
It is, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't know things about the film. I do know some things about the film. I don't know anything about the ending, but what I do know about the film all sort of takes place within, I think, sort of about the first hour of the film. Like in terms of, so you remember, I'm basically going to talk about what I know without talking about what I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, who haven't seen this film, myself included, actually, and David hasn't seen it either. But we absolutely will 100% be reviewing this when we do see it, I'm sure.
So as soon as we get some, I obviously for me, I can't, understand, Japanese, or anything like that. So for me, it'd be quite a long wait for the sub. But I think Adam's entertained the idea of giving it a go raw, but I'm certainly not in a position to be able to do that. and the film it's hard.
No, let me tell you right now. This is an Evangelion film, and from what I've heard about this film, it is. Let's just say it has those moments that you would guess from an Ava film. But yeah, so talking about what I know, so if you remember at the end of the third film, you had Shinji, Asuka, and Rei, and they were walking across this sort of barren wasteland at the end of the third impact. And Asuka says she's taking Shinji to where the Lilin are, right? All I'll say is, without spoiling it majorly, all I'll say is I know where they end up. Let's just say that. I know where they end up, and I know... Well, that's all I'll say. I'll just say I know where they end up.
But by the way, just to clarify, on those two scores that Adam mentioned a minute ago, that's live as of about 2:30 in the afternoon, British Standard Time. So obviously, we all know that with these new released films, the scores obviously can and probably will change. So that's just what they are at the moment.
Yeah, that's what they are as we are currently looking at it right now as we're recording.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, I know where they end up, where they're walking off to.
Yeah.
And there's a whole question everyone's been asking since the third one of, what's under Asuka's eye patch. All I'll say is I know what's under the eye patch, and pretty much that's all I know about the film. I mean, everyone I'm sure knows about what happens in the first 10 minutes because Kara released the first 10 minutes of the film at midnight on YouTube on the day that the film was released. So everyone's seen the first 10 minutes. So that's not a spoiler to anybody because everyone's seen that. Well, most people have seen that, I would say. But anything past that is a spoiler, really. Really, that's all we can really say about the film up until we've seen it. Really.
Yes, and before we move on to the main segment of this discussion, what were the sort of the figures in terms of what this has actually made? Because I think it was quite impressive. I think from what you told me the other day.
Oh, this is extremely impressive. So I've got an Anime News Network article up here, and it says final Evangelion film breaks Imac's opening day record in Japan. Now, I was just talking to you off the air about IMAX, wasn't I? And I was saying that IMAX is extremely gimmicky, and it's essentially like a 4D sort of version of the film where if Shinji's like fighting in the Ava or whatever, like the chair would be shaking and fucking they'd be spraying water and air at you and all this sort of stuff. And personally for me, if I was going to see this film for the first time, I personally wouldn't choose to see an IMAX, at least the first time I see it,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I just want the straight up authentic experience first of all, rather than all this extra stuff.
I mean, I don't mind IMAX. I get the idea of it, and I get that's cool and stuff, but it's just
also having never been to one, I assume the ticket prices are a lot more expensive than a standard showing as well.
I would imagine so. So I'm going to read this article from Anime News Network. It's not long, but I'll just read it. So it says, entertainment website Deadline reported on Wednesday that Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time, what a title that is, the final Evangelion film, has set a record for the highest IMAX earnings on opening day in Japan, with the equivalent of $740,000 in IMAX tickets, which is a lot.
Wow, yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot for the opening.
But it's not as much. That's a lot for opening, and it's a lot for IMAX. But it's not as much as the normal version made. I'll tell you that. Jesus Christ! It has also set a record for the highest percentage IMAX opening day gross for a local film in Japan, with IMAX accounting for 10% of the film's opening, only 1 to 2% of the total screens. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to pretend I know what that means, but I'm assuming it's good.
What was the
anyway?
What was the actual figure for the standard viewings of the opening day? Because it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Oh, that's actually later on in this article, so I'm actually getting to that. Here we go. It says, so this is the standard version. It says, the film sold 539,623 tickets for a total of 802,774,200 yen,
Wow.
which is about $7.3 million on its first day in 466 theaters on Monday. So it made 800 million yen in one day.
That is absolutely madness, and you know, fair play. You know,
I mean,
this
film. To be fair, this film was fucking hyped. Like, there were a lot of
hyped, and everyone delay after delay of when will it come out? Is it even going to come out?
It did get to a point. I will. So I'll continue reading the article here. So it says the film sold 21.7 more tickets and earned 23.8% more in yen on its opening day, compared to the opening day of the previous film, which was 3.0 You Cannot Redo in 2012. 3.0 opened on a Saturday, while 3.0 plus 1.0 opened on a Monday. So the last film opened on a weekend and still didn't make as much money.
Oh, madness. Absolute madness. But fair play, I guess. You know.
Yeah. And especially and what blows my mind more is the third film, as it says here, came out on a Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a weekend, obviously. So you'd think a lot more people will be going out to see it.
Mm-hmm.
This film opened on a weekday. This new one. Not only did it open on a weekday, but in these times when everything's restricted, and it still made more money.
Oh dear, incredible, really, when you think about it like that. But
and you were talking about delays. Well, it says here the staff had delayed the film from January 23rd to March the 8th. After careful consideration due to the new state of emergency declared in 4 prefectures in Japan on January the 8th, and then extended to a total of 11. And then it says the film had an earlier delay due to the concerns over coronavirus and it spread inside and outside of Japan. The film was originally scheduled to open on June 27th last year.
Well, there we go. It's been a lot of years in the making. We finally got there.
Finally got there. And we will finally see it eventually. So that's pretty much that article. And fair play to Studio Kara and the guys behind that film, because they have absolutely just killed it.
No, absolutely smashed that. Yes, indeed. But this whole thing, the hype and everything surrounding the release of this film, has actually sparked the main topic that we want to talk about and address. And you know, upon summary, possibly recommend this as a general experience to people that maybe have thought about seeing an anime film in the cinema or haven't been before, and to talk a little bit about our experiences and you know, see what you guys think and maybe give it a go. But let's start with that then. So there's a little list of films here that we have actually been to the cinema to see, isn't there?
Now the ones I've got on our list are all the ones that I can remember us going to see in the cinema. So there may have been more, but if there were, then I can't remember them. But these are all ones that I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go through. We're going to go through them. I don't know if these are in chronological order of when we saw them, but we're just going to go through them in the order that they are on the list.
Do you know, I'm looking at the list. Obviously, I know everybody can't see the list because it's just something we've got on the side of our computers here. But I'm actually looking at this list, and it actually that does potentially look like the order in which we did see them.
I think it might be actually. No,
I don't know if that was intentional, but you might have just nailed that.
I might have done. So anyway, first one on the list is okay. Now the first one on the list is interesting because it's not actually an anime film. We are cheating a little bit here. It's not actually an anime film, but it's an anime-related film.
And to clarify, the rest of them are all anime. But anyway, go on.
So this first one is the live-action Attack on Titan films that came out a few years ago. Now, when we went to see these, originally, as far as I remember, they were only supposed to be showing the first one.
Yes, and then what was advertised.
So I think you remember a bit more about this situation than me. So what actually happened with that situation?
Well, yeah, because I was one that actually booked it, and we sort of knew there was going to be, 2 parts, but we didn't know too much about how the cinema was going to handle that. But when I actually purchased these tickets, it only ever listed the first film. It didn't mention anything about showing a second one, or the fact that this was a double bill feature or anything like that. It just listed the first film. And by the way, I'll state this now because this will be relevant for each film. This is just something that's standard where we are now. I can't vouch for the experience anywhere else around the UK, but I would assume it would be the same. Now, when you go and see films like this, they're a bit more niche, a bit more sort of hardcore fans only that actually turn up to these things. And this, what I mean by that is it's not a massive, super duper Hollywood budget film that has multiple screenings and showings. These generally are only one night only affairs, and because of that, you often find that the ticket prices are hiked up just a little bit. But I wouldn't let that put anyone off because it's definitely worth that experience. Anyway, so I'll get more into that a bit later. But I bought these tickets and we turned up, and of course, one time, one showing, and it does make the experience a little bit more busier because obviously there is only that limited one showing. But all the fans gather in the foyer and things like that before they get into the screen, and you've kind of got an idea, haven't you, of that the people are fans, right?
Oh yeah. So just backtracking slightly before we talk that. So yeah, as you said, when you booked the tickets, it was just the one screening, and then I think was it the day of or the day before they said, actually, we're going to be showing both parts.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I forgot to. Yes, I did forget to mention that. Yeah, it was. Well, no, actually, no. Do you know what?
It was.
I don't think we did. I don't think we actually knew until we got there, because I'm sure that we saw whispers that it might be a double bill, but because we bought them originally and it's only said, showing the first film, I'm pretty sure we went there and we didn't know, because I'm pretty sure that after the first film finished, we was like, oh yeah, okay, it's definitely a double bill, or was it that we asked someone there if it was a double bill and they said it was?
I think we had to ask. Maybe
I think we did. There was definitely a lot of confusion surrounding this one.
There was, but we got there, and I used to have this old sort of scout jacket thing. I don't really have it now because it's way too small. It wouldn't fit now, but and I wore it to this thing because, to be fair, when we saw this, I think Attack on Titan was still at the sort of, I don't want to say it's the attention on it has gone down, but I mean, at the point that we went to see this film, I think the fandom and the hype for the series just in general was still really high, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. And Adam, I didn't wear it. I didn't cosplay or anything, but Adam was not the only person to cosplay. There were other people wearing jackets and all the things like that, and it's really cool.
I saw someone in full. I think I saw someone in full Scout cosplay, not just the jacket, but the whole thing.
Yeah,
and it was and I thought to myself, going to this thing, I was thinking to myself, God damn, I'm probably going to be the only person. People are going to think I'm an absolute fucking mark for this series. You know what I mean? I'm the only one wearing this, but no, like you say, I wasn't, and there was other. No. And the vibe. What I really liked about that whole evening was just the vibe in general. was just really cool, wasn't it?
It is, because typically when you go and I'm sure Adam will agree with this, but typically when you go and see, you know, the latest Hollywood blockbuster that literally everyone goes to, so you get a real mixture of different types of people. You know, I'm not saying there aren't fans of these big Hollywood films, because of course there are, but what we mean is there will be more casual people that turn up to these sort of big Hollywood films. But with things like this, you are only really going to get hardcore. There is no way that some random's going to be flicking through, oh yeah, oh what's this film? We'll go. It might happen, but it's very unlikely and probably quite rare. But what's really cool about it is because you know everyone that's there knows that everybody else is a big fan, and there's just like, is this like this community? And you think normally when you go to these other films, like I said, these Hollywood films, you're sat there and you only really, you know, you keep hush and you only really talk to the person that's next to you, you know, and very quietly. But no, when you go and see these anime or anime related type films that only have these one night only showings or limited showings, you hear other people talking about other anime or how they think the film's going to go, and then you can talk to them, and it's a whole different experience of this community of,
in a way,
hardcore fans. It's just great.
I know, and in a way, I kind of hope that the final Ava film does get a cinema release over here, because can you imagine going to the cinema and then there's people walking around the cinema dressed up like fucking Asuka or Rey or like.
Well, that's it. Well, again, the whole thing of why this whole discussion was even sparked in the first place, because that is true. That is what we are hoping for. We are hoping that this will get some sort of limited screening here in the UK. We really are. I know things are tricky with the current world situation at the moment, but we are hoping that as the year progresses, as you know, that things will get better, and this will get, well, maybe not this year, maybe sort of the start of next year, but who knows?
I mean, I'd love that. That'd be hilarious to me.
It'd be great.
Around the cinema, and there's just like, oh, there's someone cosplaying fucking Asuka or whatever, and
oh look, there's someone dressed as Shinji in the corner. Oh, why is he crying again?
Yeah, why is he crying in the corner? And Jesus Christ, you know. Oh man. Anyway, that would be great. I'd absolutely love that. But no, but that's what I'm talking about. I love that sort of vibe, because, like you say, everyone's there, and everyone's there because they're here to see that particular film, and everyone's there because they know that they're into it. Like you said, the only other people that are going to go see these types of films are the other people that are into it. Like you said, you're not going to get casuals at these, really. Well, you might do, but it'd be weird, I think, because there'd be like some, because I guess if you are a casual and you go to these sorts of films, you would feel a little bit out of place, because like 90% of the people would be like the hardcore fans.
Yeah. Which, you know, that's not a deterrent for people. I mean, I obviously, as a fan, I recommend anyone give these great films and experiences a go. But moving on, actually, to I'm looking at the list, and I think what we should do, and I think you'll agree with this, is I'm going to combine the next two films that are on this list, because I think that the point for both of them is going to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to come in and say what they are, right? So you got Akira and Ghost in the Shell, the 1995 film, and the reason why I want to mention them both at the same time.
I was going to say, so yeah. with Ghost in the Shell, we're not talking about the Scarlett Johansson live action film.
No,
about the original anime film.
This is a bit more special, actually, because these two films specifically. And what I mean by that is the other films on this list that we've seen were all actually
new releases.
They're all new releases. But I think, and Adam, we've had a chat about this already, but Adam will agree that seeing older films that you may have missed when they originally came out, or perhaps weren't even born when these were out, or you weren't perhaps old enough to go to them when they were out, to be able to see a film that you absolutely love, that you know in your head is an absolute classic or favorite of yours, to be able to see that in the cinema, there's just something special about that, isn't there? It's just great.
There was something special about seeing these two films. I mean, Akira, it was special to see Akira in the cinema because Akira was the film when it came out in the I think it was the late 80s it came out originally. Yeah. When it came out then, that was the film that kind of made anime sort of known in the West. That was the film that kind of, that's sort of what put it on the map and everyone started paying attention. And Ghost in the Shell is just my favourite film of all time. And to be able to see that in the cinema was happening. Now, I've got a feeling with the Ghost in the Shell film, didn't they put that out? It was something to do with the live action film, I think. I think it was they put it out because the live action film was it not an anniversary or something? When they released it? Nothing to do with that? I don't think so. I think it came out a little bit before the live action one did.
Right. When was that again, that live action one? I've actually completely forgotten when that even came out.
That was 2000. Like a while ago. Well, search it up and then you'll find out. I mean, I can't remember now. It was like 2016, maybe 16, something like that.
No. Hang on a second. I think I maybe. No. It's 2017.
2017 is when the live action one came out. Okay, I'll give my quick thought. Okay, just because we're on the topic of it, I'll give my quick thoughts on, and you can give your quick thoughts on the live action one. The live action one is okay. I've watched it a couple of times. I think I was a bit harsh on it when it first came out. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not got a shit on the fucking original version.
Oh,
but I don't think it's as bad as I made it out to be when I first saw it.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? When these sort of reimagined versions of these old films come out, as that hardcore fan,
I'll admit
you are going to be looking for things, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, you remember sitting with me watching that live action Ghost in the Shell, and don't you remember me sitting there going, that's wrong, that's supposed to be that, that's supposed to be that? Because you go into it, like, no shit, you go into it, and I'm sure this was the same with a lot of people, you go into it and you expect certain things.
The expectations are high, and I think in your head you've got your standard, haven't you, of what you want.
You've got well, that's the thing. What you want, essentially, what people want is they want it to be a carbon copy of the original film. For it to be as good as the original film, and it's not.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's it.
And it's not. And that's what annoyed me about Ghost in the Shell initially, was the fact of, okay, yeah, there were some scenes that were from the original anime, and it just wasn't the same. But anyway, we're not talking about that version. We're talking about the original version.
No, exactly. Your Name, isn't it?
Yeah, Your Name. I mean, that was a very hyped film when that came out, wasn't it?
Oh, that's it. That was in this one actually, and the last one on the list. A very interesting for me, because you can sort of go into these ones blind, really, and I didn't know too much about the film. I just knew that there was a massive hype level around it, and the cinema was, well, like all these experiences are, in my opinion, were absolutely packed.
When I went to see Parasite in the cinema, that Korean film that won the Oscar a couple of years ago, that was absolutely rammed, like to
that's
the
it.
max.
Certain films gain a lot of attention, and for good reason. And Your Name really did. That really rings true for that. And again, I wouldn't necessarily say it had the same level of feel in terms of people, like, you know, because obviously people didn't really know what this film was. I think with films that you've seen before, like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, because the people that have gone to see the film have probably seen it before, or if it's like Attack on Titan or like any other anime series, at least you've got some basis of, oh yeah, you understand the characters and things like that. With these films, you don't really know, other than reading the plot beforehand, or you know, you don't really know fully what to expect. So at this point, it's only speculation. And what I found when attending these sort of films is when people were talking, they weren't really talking about beforehand. They weren't really talking about the film as such, because nobody's seen it. What people were mostly talking about is other anime that they'd seen, and what they, again, you get all these different opinions and this great atmosphere for people that have seen various anime. And you know, you never know, there may be animes they recommend to you you've not seen before, or you could recommend things to them, or just some mutual understanding and of how beastly certain things are. And it's just a great atmosphere, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I remember when we went to see that film, Your Name, and
yeah,
I mean, that film was just I thought that film was just fantastic.
It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant.
And I mean, I'm not going to specifically spoil it, just in case people haven't seen it. But I mean, if you have seen it, you know what we're talking about. But nobody, and especially we were absolutely not expecting that twist about halfway through, were we?
No, we weren't indeed. No, but it was brilliant, and it received exceptionally well. I mean, I've just looked up the IMDb score for it, 8.4 out of 10, which, you know, I've said this multiple times. I'll say it again. Any film that gets an 8 or above is very high for IMDb, and you know, it does normally mean that it's going to be pretty good.
Oh, of course. And Your Name was just a fantastic film. And the last film on this list, which we've got one more before we get to the last one, but the last film on this list is actually by the same director as Your Name. So, and we had some for this last film, we had some expectations because it was by the same director.
Yeah, of course,
We'll get to that at the end.
So
now, the penultimate film on the list is from a series that me and David are very familiar with.
Yes.
And so it was the Sword Art Online movie that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I didn't have, because this was coming off of the back of the second season, which wasn't great. It was the first part of it was decent, but the second half wasn't great. I got to admit, going into the Sword Art Online movie, I didn't have massively high expectations.
I'm going to admit now that I was worried for it, because, you know, although, and I know Sword Art Online, I know it divides the anime world, but I like it, so there we go. But anyway, but however, completely going to be such a hypocrite now. Agreeing with Adam, at the time this film came out, I wouldn't say that Sword Art Online was really at its best. You know, there was, I didn't particularly enjoy the Excalibur arc, if I'm completely honest with you.
The Excalibur arc. What about the God damn, I can't even remember. What was the arc with Yuki in it?
I know what you mean. I can't think of it.
I'm gonna have to look it up while you say this, because I can't carry on until I know what the name of that arc was.
I mainly enjoyed the first season, and the part of the second season which had the Death Gun arc in it. Well, I thought they were absolutely fantastic. I've just remembered now. Yes. What was it called?
The other. It was called Mother's Rosario.
Oh, that's it, Mother's Rosario. That's it. And it's I didn't particularly enjoy that, if I'm honest. And you know, so going into this, I had low expectations, but I enjoyed it. And again, you have all these people, you know, you know the characters, you know, and everything, and you have people in that. Again, the cinema was packed because it's limited screenings, and again, you have all these people, all these fans. I don't remember seeing that many people cosplaying at this one, though. If I'm honest.
No, I don't.
So I think that does vary from place to place, you know, or possibly show to show. I don't know, but yeah, there certainly wasn't that many cosplayers at this particular one.
No, I don't think there was, but I will say that it was obvious that all the people that were in there were Sword Art Online fans.
Oh, definitely, yeah, because like I say, and the thing with Sword Art Online is I find people that I've met. This is my sort of, you know, observation, opinion, and my personal experience here is that for me, I think it's like you either love this show or you hate it. I feel like there's no middle ground here. Like you either like the show or you hate it, because there's no casualness to this. It's, you know, if you're there, you are a Sword Art Online fan, end of. So
yeah, honestly, you're right. With Sword Art Online, it is either it's definitely a Marmite show. It's like you either like it or you don't like it. And what I found, the biggest thing that I remember about this film for me was watching it, and one, being surprised in how good it actually was.
I really enjoyed it, yes.
And two, when we were walking out, hearing people talking about how surprised they were about how good it was. Yeah,
absolutely. It's just great. I mean, I think, you know, we're getting towards the end of the list now. But, you know, it's such there's a very, very common repetitive theme in what we're saying, and that really is the fact of it's hard to replicate this experience when you go and see these sort of anime type films. You know, the environment is great. It's so different going to see you know, a regular film. It really is. But anyway, in ending of this list, what is the last film then, Adam?
So the last one on the list, what I believe is the most recent anime film we saw in the cinema.
It must be
one after this.
No, because this film actually came out in 2019. So it's definitely the last one that we have seen in the cinema.
It's definitely the last one we saw in the cinema, and that was Weathering with You, which was by the same director as Your Name. Now, I want to say straight off for the record, and I don't know if I don't know if David's going to agree with me on this or not. He might do, he might not. And I'm sure other people may agree with this when they hear this, or they might not. I don't know, but this is my opinion. Personally, I don't think this was as good as Your Name. Personally,
no, Your Name
was still good.
Is definitely good. And that's the thing. A tiny fragment of this as well might be because the expectations off the back of Your Name, because of how good Your Name was, I think it raised the bar of expectations a bit for this film, because unlike going into Your Name where we didn't have a clue what to really expect, now we had some sort of idea of the level of caliber, what to expect from this film. And it did deliver for the most part, but it certainly wasn't, in my opinion, quite to the level of how good Your Name was. But it's still good, though.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say also straight up that I have only seen this film once.
Yes, that's true.
I've not seen it again since we saw it that time. What can I remember about the experience of that? Not that much, really, other than...
Well, this was a slightly different experience, actually, because for some reason, and I don't remember why, all the other films we've mentioned up until now we saw a different cinema because for some reason, near where, obviously I'm not going to say where we live, obviously the rough area in where we live, there's only one cinema that normally gets sort of, to show these films. So that's where we normally go. But for some reason, this time round, the other cinema of choice was showing this film. And at the time, the tickets were actually, normally the prices are dearer, but in this occasion, for this particular cinema, it was a little bit cheaper at the time. I think this was showing. Was it showing at Showcase or not?
It might have been. I can't remember now if it was or wasn't.
I don't know. But anyway, so because it was showing at this other cinema, we thought, you know what? It's cheaper. It's easier for us to get to. And we went there, and maybe not. Maybe I don't even remember this cinema being packed.
To be absolutely honest, this is quite weird considering this is the most recent one. This is the one that, to be honest, I remember the least about. Not the film. I'm talking about the experience.
The location might have had something to do with it. Maybe people weren't as familiar that films of this nature were shown here. Maybe that's why it wasn't. So I don't know, but I mean, this is what I'm saying. All what we're talking about now comes to personal experience, but I'm sure wherever you are, in specifically in the UK, or maybe other parts of the world, I don't know, that maybe other countries do limited showings, I don't know. But maybe where you are, you've also got your own, like, oh yeah, that's the go-to cinema that everyone knows to go to. I don't know, but we certainly do where we are, and so to have it at a different location, maybe that changed it a bit for us. I don't know. This certainly is my least favorite experience of going to see an anime film. I think there were still other people,
When we say least favorite, when we're saying least favorite, we're not saying like, oh, the film was bad. We're not saying that, but I don't remember having I don't remember having any sort of special experience.
No, there was this bit of lack of, but it wasn't bad, but it just was the least hyped one, really. But there you go. So that those are all the films that we've seen. I'm sure there's people with their own lists that maybe have seen even more than that. I mean, I know there's often different series and we get
there's
films
a lot
and things like that.
I know what there are. I was going to say there are ones that have been put out in the cinema that I haven't gone to see. I know there's been quite a few of the Dragon Ball films that have come out recently. Some of the newer ones are those that have come out. Yeah. I know there's been the One Piece films.
Wasn't there like a Yu-Gi-Oh one at some point as well? I
think there was a Yu-Gi-Oh film a few years ago.
So we don't go to all of them. We only really go to ones that we've got somewhat of an interest
of seeing.
Or perhaps ones like Your Name where there is a huge interest and hype surrounding it, and people are like, it's like, oh, you must go and see this film, it's going to be based. But if it's a series that I'm not too fussed about, I'm not going to particularly bother going myself. But anyway, like
Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, for example, I was going to say, well, just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh for a second. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, I don't even remember really watching that much back in the day.
I think I did a little bit, but for me at the time, Pokemon was the one for me that kind of overshadowed that. Really, it's actually quite funny that I mentioned Pokemon, because actually talking about films that I've seen anime in the list, that actually could have been on there, but that isn't one that I saw with Adam, because I was quite young at the time.
well, we can talk. Well, we can talk about that quickly if you want. I mean, you, to be honest, you probably have the exact same memories of that as I did. I remember going to see that film, and we're talking about the first movie, by the way, the original first Pokemon, the first movie, the original one. I remember going to see that film. That film was so hyped because that was when, in my opinion, that was when Pokemon was at its peak. That was peak Pokemon.
Certainly, and everyone, because I was at school at the time, everyone at school was talking about it, like seeing it multiple times, and everyone was talking about it. I can't remember a single person that wasn't obsessed with going to see that film when I was a kid at the time.
I mean, I remember. Yeah, that was it. That was it exactly. Because like when I say that was like the peak of the Pokemon fandom, I mean, like, that was seriously the peak of the fandom. That was like everybody had the cards. Most people didn't know how to actually play the trading card game, but they,
yeah, that's true.
They collected the cards and they traded the cards. That was when people were all playing the Game Boy games. That was where everyone was watching the TV. Was watching the anime.
Yeah. My personal experience of this is, I remember, again, I was a bit youngish at the time, so obviously mum and dad took me, and I remember, and Adam will remember this, I think everyone around about my age that went to go and see it in the UK will remember this, but you turned up, you got your exclusive, I say exclusive, like it was hard to get because everyone got one, but you got your Mewtwo card, Pokemon trading card. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I think I've still got that somewhere in a drawer at my
actually
old
house. Was it a Mew or a Mewtwo? I can't actually remember. It was a Mewtwo, wasn't it?
It was a Mewtwo. I'm pretty sure it was a Mewtwo.
And I remember my parents actually were so bored when that film, because obviously they took me to see it. I'm pretty sure one, if not both, of my parents were to the point of falling asleep. Well, I was saying that's sort of a funny
moment. They weren't into Pokemon at the time, but to be honest, yeah, pretty much. I have the exact same memories of that. Really, I remember being taken to see it. I remember. Do you remember when? And I might give away where we live, but no one's going to do anything. It doesn't matter. But I remember going to see this film back. Do you remember when View was Warner Brothers?
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I
think that was a thing around the UK. To be fair, so I don't think that gives it away entirely where we live. I think that was a thing for every cinema.
That I went to see it when the View was Warner Brothers cinema.
Yeah.
And I went to see it. It was like the fucking Animaniacs on the top. Do you remember?
Yeah.
With the giant logo and shit.
Yeah.
We went there to watch it. Got taken to see it there, and exactly the same as you. You get given the card. You go in and see it, and I remember thinking that film was the absolute dog's bollocks.
I think again,
because
everybody did. It was the big thing. It was the big thing.
It was the big thing. And and I will admit, and I thought it was amazing, right? Like, I thought, my God, this is such a good film. And I've actually watched the film. Yeah, exactly. And I've actually watched the film again since that. Like, maybe I watched it again, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. And the dub does not hold up. The dub does not hold up. I definitely didn't. It's like these things. It's like, could you really watch Pokemon seriously now? And I don't mean like the new series. I mean like the original. I mean like the original series. Could you seriously watch it now? Probably not. To be honest, not, no. And it's
this film actually received quite a low on IMDb. This film hasn't even got a great score.
Oh really? Wow. No, I didn't know that.
I love the film.
But that's the thing with these old films. It's like, could I seriously go back and watch that Pokemon film now? Probably not, to be honest. No,
I could watch it, but not seriously. No,
and I remember when, there was Dragon Ball Super came out some years ago, right? And the new Dragon Ball, the newest Dragon Ball anime came out. I tried to watch it because I thought to myself, God damn, I used to love Dragon Ball Z back in the day. I used to love watching that, and I've tried watching Dragon Ball Super, and I was just like, I can't anymore. Like, these old series, I just can't anymore. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's it. I agree.
That's that. But yeah, so that's our discussion, really. So as David said earlier, I mean, we absolutely 100% recommend going to see these types of films if you get the opportunity to do so.
Absolutely. Make sure, especially when things are, get back to normal, cinemas, reopen in the UK, or again, wherever you live in the world that may do a similar thing to this. I don't know. I'm just talking from a UK perspective. But, just keep an eye out, keep checking these films, these websites, or perhaps they're posted on social media or whatever. Just keep your eye open and don't even think about it. Just don't even think to yourself, oh, forget it. I'll wait until it comes out, on DVD or whatever, and just like, or Blu-ray or streaming services. This is genuinely, for my money, genuinely a good opportunity to actually go and see these films at the cinema. It is a good experience.
Well, exactly, and it's like the Ava film again. It's like if that happens to come out on DVD or streaming before it gets a cinema release here, for example, even if I've already seen it, I will still go and see it in the cinema as well.
Yeah, for the
experience.
And also, and this sounds a little bit stupid and perhaps a little bit trivial and whatever, but sometimes, and Adam may agree with this, sometimes it's just really cool upon reflection. If you say you're talking about any of these films or whatever, 10, 15, 20 years into the future, it is kind of cool to be able to be that person and say, I was there, I saw that film when that came out in the cinema. I'm a bit like that now. Like I think it's fucking awesome that I can sit here and go, yeah, I've seen Akira in the cinema. Yeah, I've seen Ghost in the Shell in the cinema. Okay, yeah, I didn't see them when they originally came out, but I've still had that experience. And also, at the end of the day, we're not even thinking of. We've talked about the experience or whatever, but we're not even mentioning the most important thing, and that's really, if you are really a fan of these things, you are highly supporting the creations of these films by going and actually paying that bit of extra money to go and see in the cinema. You're also showing support. Which and I don't want, and I'm sure Adam agrees with this. I don't want this experience to die. I don't want them to say,
no.
We only show one film, and maybe popularity dies down, people don't bother going to see it, and they get rid of it, because that would be an absolute crying shame if this experience was ever taken away. Because it's really good.
Oh, exactly. I mean, everyone knows. Well, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, you talk about supporting it there, and it's like it's the same thing. We know how shit, really. It's no secret how shit, like, working conditions are for like animators and things. And I'm talking specifically about the anime industry here. I mean, everyone knows how shit their pay is. Everyone knows how much overtime they have to work. I mean, goddamn, you've heard all the shit about Attack on Titan recently, and about how people thought that the show looked like shit when it didn't.
No.
And that got wrongfully, and everyone had to go at the animators. I mean, I'm not going to go back into that again because we've been there and done that. But you remember that, and there's just no need for it. There's no need to animators, and I guess you could talk about Western animation as well. I don't really know if it is the same for Western animation, but
actually,
Eastern animation.
I know. Well, a lot of shows actually send work off, don't they, to be drawn and produced in countries like Korea and stuff like that. So
that's right. You do see in a lot of anime and some Western shows. I think South Park does this. Where they have like these Korean places, or you see these Korean names pop up on animation, We Helped, CG or whatever, and seeing films in the cinema like this helps support them because you've paid to see their work, and it's good, and it is good to do that.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's good to support them. It's a good all-round experience. You get this real vibe, environmental,
and that's
feel
also,
about it.
And that's also why I always try and have a sort of. That's also why I always, if I'm going to watch like an anime series, that's always why I will have like my, Crunchyroll subscription, because that's also helping to support them by having the subscription and that sort of thing. So that is our discussion. And just before we finish here, let's just give a quick sort of thing here at the end about what we've got coming up.
Oh, what's coming up?
We do have a further couple of discussions coming up soon, don't we?
We do, and they are going to be both in the realm of Attack on Titan. So the first discussion will be before. It'll be like after the penultimate episode of Attack on Titan. So like the week before the last episode, we will be talking about our thoughts on how the series has gone overall, and also perhaps our predictions / speculations as to how this sort of will end. Obviously, we won't know until we've seen it the week after, but that's the point. We're going to speculate. So what date will that be on?
Oh God. Let me have a quick look. That will be
the penultimate episode's the 21st of March, right?
Yeah. So that will be on the 22nd. That discussion will come out.
Yeah, the 22nd.
And then we're going to do a 22nd, and then we're going to do another one on the 29th, which is the day after the final episode, where we basically just review the series. Now, we're all assuming here that this is just the end of the first part of the last season, aren't we? That's right.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're getting more into there. I think that's something to get more into when we actually, talk about it in the first video. But yes, there is speculation as to, what's going to happen and when it's going to end and how it's going to end and all this, that, and the other. But yeah, that's right. But yeah, so the 22nd, Monday 22nd, to be the penultimate discussion, and Monday the 29th will be the end of this season, or part of the season, wherever it is, review. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else.
Okay, so
other than that, I'm not sure there's anything else in the works, but we're always trying to think of things, and so if something crops up like it did today, of course we will let you know and talk about it.
We will. So I'll thank you.
Very interesting discussion there.
And, it was good. I enjoy these sort of discussions. I like these sorts of discussions. So that was good to do another discussion like that. And we will see you on the 22nd for the Attack on Titan speculation.
You certainly will. Very good.